Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second interview of Motivation Week here at Osu University. Those of you who are new, Osu University is basically this improvement focused Osu hub where our goal is to basically bridge that gap between top players and the general community. So, in keeping with that theme, something we do here are these series of interviews where we dedicate 1 week of interviews to a specific topic, and we have a bunch of guests lined up this week to talk about motivation. So joining me today is none other than Momo, the score extraordinaire. Hello, hello.
Greetings, hello.
So, as a bit of an introduction to those of you who I guess aren't familiar with who you are, could you just give an introduction to who you are in the community and what people probably know you as?
Hello, I am 15 E's on Osu, or MomoHD, or Momo the Melon. Call me any one of these things. I think people know me for score farming and posting on Twitter.com. I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's I think that there's a lot to unpack though. I think.
A little bit.
Okay, so let's start sort of, I don't know, take us back in your journey through Osu and how you, I guess, started off, how you found the game and what motivated you to keep playing in the first place.
Right. So Osu is a game that I found in 2013, and the person who introduced it to me was someone who I played with and was acquainted with on Minecraft, mainly MC PvP, PvP Minecraft game, and it was Mr. Arison, aka Gaze McGee, who showed me Osu, and he uploaded a video back in like summer 2013, and yeah, I saw him play and I was like, oh, this looks kind of epic. So I downloaded Osu in 2013. I downloaded Through the Fire and Flames, I think the King Cobra map set.
Oh my
I
god.
and I played the normal. It's literally, I have 200 plays on the map. It's still relatively high in my most played maps. And from there I just kind of just fell in love with Osu, and ever since literally November of like 2013, I've had at least 1000 play count every month until to this day. So I've been pretty active since then.
So, getting into the game, was there anything in particular that drew you to it? And also, like, were you still active in MC PvP as you started playing Osu, or did you kind of quit cold turkey at a certain point?
Um, I actually was still so I was like maining Minecraft still up until I would say like 2016. Although like MC PvP, I stayed until like around 2014, maybe early 2015. But I played that alongside Osu, so I would play like Minecraft first, and then I would play Osu at night. A lot of like my earlier scores, I would play Osu at like 11 at night because that's just the normal time to play Osu.
Right. So,
Yes.
so let me think. Okay, so I'm curious to ask mostly about your journey through score because I think that's what a lot of people know you for.
Right.
So, when was it that your focus with the game shifted over to score? And I guess like was that always the case? And can you sort of walk us through that?
So I think for honestly like all of my Osu journey, even back in early 2013, there was like inklings of me liking to just submit scores on a lot of maps. I had a lot of like normal mode SSs, and also I got my first 1000 combo score on like a 3-star map because I just wanted to play something long. But I would say my real journey began in like 2017, because that's when I met a player named Sleep Tyner, who has the second most SSs in Osu. And I started SS farming at first, and I think I got to like 10,000 SSs by like end of 2017 or like early 2018. But then I started playing more long maps, and then eventually like I kind of got bored of like the performance points grind. I kind of hit a wall with that, and Zasuma was completing Osu, And in 2019 is when I truly began. Right when Zasuma completed Osu, I think April 27th or 28th of 2019, I started my journey officially May 1st, 2019 for completion slash score farming.
Oh, so I guess how do I put this? Zasuma was definitely your biggest inspiration in that sense, right?
Oh yeah, for score slash completion, 100%. He was the person who made me think, or he made me like switch my brain completely. Like Sleep Timer gave me that first step, and then Zasuma like put it in my brain like, oh, there's actually like an interesting different way to play Osu other than spamming performance points maps and trying to climb the ranking.
Right. So actually, I want to take a step back and ask like what your motivations were to grind rank in the first place, because I think it's a pretty fair, you know, I guess motivation for newer players because that number is sort of what's attached to your profile, like
Oh
the
yeah,
main ranking system.
I mean, I would say like my beginnings and my journey through like my first half of Osu, pretty normal. Like everyone else, I wanted to climb the leaderboard. I wanted to improve my skills. I wanted to see the funny rank number go up. Because it gives you a nice feeling to see yourself climb up the rankings. And I thought it was fun for a little bit, but after a while, it's just like you know, when you start hitting a wall, especially as soon as you start hitting the wall, it doesn't feel good. And the difference between like performance and score is that performance, if you hit a wall, you're just not gonna climb, and that feeling was like actually terrible. I hated that feeling.
But with score,
Score, you can climb even if you play the literal easiest maps, as long as you're submitting a new score on new maps and or if you're playing maps you already have a score on, if you just get a higher score, you just simply gain score. It's very simple.
so were there anything, but before we dive really deep into score farming, was there anything that you did to, or like, I guess anything you used to keep yourself motivated when climbing the ranks? Like, was it other friends and like friendly rivals, or like what exactly would help you get past those walls?
I think mainly I've always really liked just watching everyone and just seeing like all the cool plays people set. I mean, my main inspirations for Osu were obviously Arison, who showed me Osu, and then Cookiezi. You cannot mention joining Osu in 2013 without being, a Cookiezi worshiper, really.
True.
And it's just like watching these players set really cool, incredible scores. You're like, I want to try these skill sets. I want to try getting better at like. For me, my thing, I always loved stream maps, stream like stamina, speed, anything to do with tapping. So all I would do is just log into Osu, play like long stream practice maps, and just grind stamina. And also, like I played DT, not very well, I think, but it was the motivation I wanted and needed to try and improve at that.
Oh, so whenever you, I guess like, let me think. So when you would hit a wall in climbing rank, would you then just sort of go back to your basics and sort of skill farm, so to speak?
I would try to do that, but I think my mentality with performance points compared to score was a lot worse, to say the least. I think when I played for performance, I was not exactly the sharpest of minds, and sometimes I would just, to no effect, retry maps that I really shouldn't be playing because, I was just coping with the fact that I hit a wall instead of
Oh,
actually trying to go back and improve upon my skill set.
I see.
Not very smart.
Yeah, those sounds like dark times. Dark times.
Oh yeah, my Usu history before the score is very much the Dark Age before the Enlightenment.
Yeah. Okay. So take us through the Enlightenment. Can you please enlighten us?
Ah, yes, the Enlightenment began in May of 2019. that's when I officially started my score journey. And I also, at the same time, completion was something I wanted to go for. Osu completion being playing every difficulty of every ranked map set in Osu standard. Everything from Miro Ultra Beginner to I don't know what the highest star map is right now. It's probably that one map with like the end difficulty. And you know, you just play everything. You submit a score on everything to the best of your ability, and on top of that, you're also going to get a lot of score by doing that. So I also would play. I loved playing long maps, especially even before score farming. So really, just score farming made me just dive into playing every long map like all at once.
So,
And
oh, yeah, you can finish.
uh, go ahead.
Okay. So for motivation, there's this big thing about, setting goals and especially long-term goals. But when you sort of set out for completion, do you feel like you really knew what you were signing up for, so to speak?
Um, yes and no. I knew that it was going to take. I literally estimated that it would take me until 2022 to complete Osu all the way back in 2019. So I already had a rough idea as to how long it would take me. But it's hard to account for how much energy you're actually gonna have to spend to do something like that.
Right.
You're
So
you're not you're not going to and like it's hard to know exactly how much you're going to have to put in to actually do that, even if you have an idea of how long it'll take.
so with it now being towards the end of 2021, being in November, what can you share with us on, what you've learned about long-term goals?
Well, I think the most important thing about a long-term goal is that you need to actually split it up into more than one goal. If you don't have short-term goals within a long-term goal, it's going to be very hard to actually, focus on that goal. Because if you don't have something you're working towards in the short term, you're going to feel like, you're not really achieving anything. You need to take it one step at a time.
Right. I think a lot of score farmers who like really go for completion or things like that, they have like on their user page a track of like all like their completion for like specific sections of like the rank section, either like all 2007 maps, 2008 maps, etc., or like all 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, etc.
Yep,
maps.
I have the same on my profile too.
Right? Do you have both of those categorizations?
I have it per like star rating range, so like
Okay.
1 stars, 2 stars. Yep.
So do you let me think of how to put this. Do you break down those short-term goals even more, or like within?
Oh yeah, you absolutely have to. You have to like I think it's actually important to break it down by like a per day basis.
Okay.
You like when you're dealing with literally 84,000 maps, you need to actually section them off into like very small bits to actually feel like you're working towards it. So like if I'm playing a bunch of 1 star maps in a day, if I just have all the 1 star maps listed out, like it's going to show like 15,000 maps or something crazy. If you're just playing those without actually sectioning them off in some way, in some fashion, you're going to feel like you've made no progress. Even if you clear like 300 of them, you're going to feel like you've made no progress if you don't have them sectioned out like in game. Like you could do it like by length or by star rating. If you just section it out a little bit and you get to the end of the list, you'll feel a lot more accomplished and a lot more motivated to keep going the next time.
So these days, do you even keep track of how many maps you have left?
Oh, of course I keep track every day.
Oh, so I think you largely go for like 100 million, or is it like 100 clears per day?
That's what I've been trying, especially since October, because I've really been trying to like step it up. Because I actually have a hopefully a hard deadline for myself of June 30th, 2022 for OSU completion.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm aiming for, and the average I need is like 90 a day. So I just said, why not just do 100?
I see. So with that, There's this idea of, setting systems rather than goals. Is that something that you've really heard much about?
I'm sorry, one more time.
There's this idea of like setting systems rather than goals.
I'm not sure exactly what that entails.
Okay, basically, like your goal. So you have the goal to finish every map, right?
Yes.
But instead of really thinking a lot about that goal, you just like set up a system of just getting 100 clears every single day. And so you're not really thinking about the end result of like finishing every map. But if you
Oh,
just maintain that system, then you'll end up reaching that goal. You know what I mean?
okay, yeah, then that's basically exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. So I just every day I'm focusing on what kind of maps I want to play and like how I'm going to reach that goal of 100 clears. It's really easy to do it with specific maps. It's literally impossible to do it with specific length slash difficulty of maps. So it's about finding that balance and also just prioritizing based on, your energy level, your motivation level that day, and just figuring out what to play that day so you can reach that goal every time.
So you've been doing this for like almost 2.5 years now, I think.
Yep, that's about right.
So within that time, do you have any, I guess, like stories or anecdotes to share about like sort of feeling burnt out or, like sort of losing motivation? And then how have you been able to bring that motivation back each time?
Well, I think there has been only one really bad period of burnout, and it happened kind of early on into my score farming journey. And that was between December of 2019 and February of 2020, where I stayed around like 199 billion score or like 190 to 199 billion for like 3 months because I when I started score farming, the way I would do it, I would download all the new maps and then literally play all the new maps that got downloaded that day before going into the backlog of every Osu map. And doing it that way literally made me kind of hate score farming for a little while because when you do it like that, it feels more daunting when you're constantly trying to keep up with all the new maps while at the same time also going through the old backlog. And
Right.
that can really overwhelm you to the point where I literally for 3 months barely touched score farming. I just played other kind of maps instead. And I think the takeaway I took from it was is that while having a goal like that, you need to pace yourself a little bit. I was trying to like do too many kind of like different ways to play at once. I was trying to keep up with new maps while also playing all the old maps at the same time, which is very difficult to do.
So I also want to ask, is there any sort of motivation to like improve your skill cap these days, or is it largely just using the skill cap that you currently have to just play all the maps?
Well, I think one of the things about score farming is that it made me realize I'm actually like I had the same skill level in 2020 as I did like 2019, but in 2019 I thought I was a way worse player than I was thinking in 2020 because the way I played score farming, it made me realize like, I can actually be like a decent player, and then that motivation made me stop, not how do I say I went from not caring about improving anymore because I felt burnt out to wanting to actually like improve again, like greatly.
So,
But the problem is that it's actually kind of hard to improve your skill cap while score farming
right,
because of the fact that you have to spend so much time clearing out maps. It leaves very little time to actually improve your skill cap, especially when you also I work a full-time job, and also it's hard to spend all of your free time only on OC every day.
right. So, with that, let me think. S- Okay, yeah.
I
So,
I would want to say that I think after OSU completion, I have great motivation to want to like improve my skill cap further.
oh, okay.
So like after completion, I'm thinking in my head, I think I have what it takes to become a better player again and like actually improve in all the aspects. And with my consistency I've built from score farming and the mentality I've built from score farming, I feel like I have what it takes to like improve in like a way that makes sense and that won't hurt me in the long run while also having fun at the same time, not like not getting frustrated as much.
So while we're on this topic, I want to ask you if you have any thoughts on the play more mantra of advice for improvement.
Well, I mean, I I I would say that there needs to be some level of, if you're not playing Osu more than like 1 hour a day, you're probably not going to improve as fast as someone who's playing like 3, 4 hours a day, because it's really hard to like actually improve at Osu without spending time on Osu. So playing more in that sense is important, but I think there's a limit to it. Like you don't want to play too much in a day where you're literally draining everything out of you, because then it'll be hard to play the next day.
Oh,
I Yeah.
right. So on that note, I know okay, so with playing this game super actively to try farming score, is there any balance that you try to strike within like, hand health, things like that? Like how do you
Yeah.
manage that?
Well, for a while, I didn't, which is not a good thing. I absolutely do not recommend that you do nothing about your hand situation. The most important thing is making sure like you stretch your hands every once in a while, like every hour, every 2 hours. You just take a moment to rest your hands, because I think score farming is actually like more of an endurance test than actually playing like skill cap maps. When people play skill cap maps, after like a few maps, your hands are probably going to be really tired. You're going to give yourself a moment to rest, most likely. When you're score farming, if you're playing like 6 hours of like 2-star maps, you're not really going to feel like super stressed out when playing them, but it's going to creep in on you. Like your hands are going to be really sore the next day because you're still playing 6 hours of Osu just on lower star maps. So you have to make sure, even when you're playing like low star maps, you have to actually take some time to like stretch, make sure your hands are not like dying, make sure you're playing a little bit loosely and stuff like that.
So, your motivation for grinding the game now, do you feel like you'll still be able to find that motivation after you clear, you finish your goal basically?
It's hard to say to, know the future. The future makes me a little worried because the only other two people to complete Usu, Zasuma and Pshagrane, both of them pretty much like either played only low star maps after they completed Osu, or kind of just stopped playing immediately. So that is not looking good, but I feel like at least with doing stuff like streaming and being active in the community, if it keeps me motivated in that sense, that I feel like even after score farming, there's still like something to look forward to and something to still like improve at. And of course, new maps get ranked every day. There's still more score to be gained.
Always more score to be gained. And on that topic, I want to ask about two things. So, one is using mods, I guess, or sometimes the lack of mods in
Uh,
your score farming journey. And then also, I think like how do you strike a balance between like trying the same map again to get a better score versus just moving on to another map?
Okay, on the first thing. Okay, so as many of you know, I am very hidden adverse. I do not play hidden. The last time I ever submitted a hidden score was 16 months ago. So it's been quite a while since I've submitted literally anything with hidden. And for me, that's just like a personal preference. I really never liked hidden in the first place. And even though it's, how do I say, score inefficient in some sense, I've looked at like how much score I would actually be losing out on. I think it's something like anywhere from 20 to 30 billion maximum that I'm missing out on, which is a lot, but it's not enough to make me feel like I need to play hidden. And same with flashlight. Flashlight is a very like specifically low star map kind of mod when you're score farming. So it's not really like it doesn't matter that much because the amount of score from low stars is not comparable to playing a lot of high stars, even with the mass amounts of low star maps.
Right. I think,
So for me,
yeah.
like the only mods I care about playing with are Hard Rock and Double Time. Double Time especially is important because of literally just saving time. But also if you have the ability to double time something, it's worth a lot of score. And same with Hard Rock. Hard Rock is a mod that I've been shy with for a while, but I've been trying a lot recently, and it actually just feels like it's just no mod, but just a little bit more annoying to aim and read.
Agreed.
I'm an not old player, but I'm an older player. Air 10 for me is still like kind of a fast AR, so to say. So it's like a little bit hard for me to say read stuff hard rock. So it just depends. No
So,
mod is the best mod.
yes, agreed. So, yeah, the other question of, retrying a map for a better score versus just moving on.
Right. So I kind of have developed a philosophy in my head that is like, if you cannot do something in like 3 tries, you should just not try it again that day. I always found that my sight read, like especially after score farming as long as I have, if my sight read is like not very good on a map, I'm probably not going to do that much better after my sight read is going to be my best try, and then my second try is going to be either on par or worse. So not always, but sometimes it's like essentially you don't want to play a map too many times because I feel like you're going to develop mind blocks really fast, especially if you're just not focusing while playing.
Right. Okay, that's a good point. Because, yeah, when you're score farming, I suspect you kind of just go on autopilot most of the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. When you're score farming, like your mental capacity for focusing is kind of divided between playing and thinking about, uh the existence, life, the universe, what you had for breakfast, all that kind of normal stuff.
It makes me wonder, just like coupled with your avatar, your Bernie avatar, like you've really had a lot to contemplate all these years of score farming, and it's just led
Yes.
to this.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's also important to think about, did I scramble the eggs correctly today or did I kind of slack on that,
Oh no, true.
you got to have good, you got to mix it very well. If you're not mixing it good, it's just not going to be good.
Can
But anyways,
so,
but yeah, I think it's not good to retry maps too much because I'm someone who thinks like developing mind blocks on a map is like essentially, throwing the map into the grave. Like you don't want that. It's not score efficient to be mind blocking a map and then not FC it.
that's
That's how
so
I see it.
that's so true. Okay, since I was thinking about it, can I ask the inspiration behind your avatar?
Right. Okay. So a thing about myself, this avatar I've had since May 2016, and more or less it's pretty much stayed as that on Osu for that duration of time. So 5.5 years now. And I mean, the picture itself, it's like, okay, the person in the picture, Bernie Bernard Sanders, he's a United States politician, he was running for president back in 2016, and I thought, the stuff he was talking about, cool, whatever. We don't need to get into that. But I saw this picture, I was like, oh hey, this is a bit humorous, he's got a funny fedora on, he's smoking something there. And I was like, okay, I'll just put it as my profile picture. And then I just kind of was like, you know what? This is just me now. And at this point, I think if I ever changed it to something, I think staff has literally locked my ability to actually change my picture.
Huh?
I just can't do it anymore. Yeah, this is very true. Very real.
I,
No, but I feel like, at this point, I can't change my picture. This is just who I am. It's a part of me.
that is valid. Yeah, I think most people can agree as well. Okay, so I do want to make sure we make time for ample viewer questions. So I will instruct you all now. Those of you listening live, there's a text thread in the Discord server called Live Chat, and you can drop your questions there. We will try to go through as many as possible. And if you see someone else's question that you would also want asked, if you could react to it with a thumbs up emoji, that way we can keep track of all the questions and make sure we get to the ones that are most desirable. But while those are coming in, Mr. Momo, if you could give us any, I guess, key takeaways that you want us to, I guess, you know, really take home from this talk about motivation.
Well, I think for anything, having motivation is a great way to actually get things done. If you're not motivated, then you're just not gonna feel like doing anything. And when it came to like Osu specifically, I feel like, having a strong motivational factor is like what's going to help you actually achieve your goal. It's not the only factor, but it's definitely something that'll help you push towards that thing that you want to achieve.
I think motivation is at the core of success in general. So it's very well
Yeah.
said.
It might not be the thing that's like forefront in your mind all the time, but it's the thing that keeps you going for sure.
All right. First question from Arya, who asks, do you feel like you became a much more well-rounded player after score grinding, and how does that affect you?
Oh, 100%. When you start playing literally every map, you're going to be playing a lot of maps out of your comfort zone. And, it doesn't feel good to not be good at those kind of maps. So eventually, you just start trying your best on all of them and you actually start developing like skill sets that you normally wouldn't have. So, like, having aim on like very weird or like old maps wasn't something I was particularly good at before score farming, but after score farming, I would say that you know I have the ability to play a wide range of maps at an acceptable level that I didn't have before.
All right. Okay. I like this question from Abraham Gaming. How do you keep on getting 100 clears every day, even when you feel like you are not motivated? So I guess on the topic of motivation versus discipline, to some extent.
Well, sometimes you just get to the point where you're like, even if it sometimes feels like a chore, the goal you're working towards, if you really believe in it and you really want to do it, even if you don't feel like doing it in that moment, once you reach to the end of the day and get to that like 100 clears or whatever goal you set for yourself, you can still feel accomplished by it, and maybe even more so if you did it while struggling.
Right. Yeah. I think having those really little goals to strive towards every day keeps you sort of grounded. And like,
Hmm.
if you're not feeling motivated and your goal is like very long term and you don't have it split up, then
Yeah.
it can be really easy to be like, oh, what's one day off going to hurt, right? But
Oh, but that's the thing. That one day is going to start turning into 2 days and 3 days.
right,
If you don't keep that momentum up, it's so easy to start just slipping.
right. So yeah, I definitely I like the way that you sort of manage your goal into 100 maps per day, so that
100 maps and also like splitting it down even further, like in game, sorting out the maps.
oh, how do you do that?
Like it depends on the session. So it's like some days I'll do like only 2-star maps, or some days I'll do only a specific length range. And then
Oh,
sometimes I try to challenge myself and actually do like a little bit of everything, but only like a small amount. And then I'll section it off one at a time and then get through them in what I think is like hardest to easiest order. So that way you do like the hardest maps that you can with like, when you're starting in a session, I believe like you'll do your best near towards the beginning of the session,
right.
like when you're warmed up and everything. And then as you go along, you play like the easier maps when you start winding down and sectioning off maps that way. Like having stuff like in very small parts makes it very easy to like just reach your goal naturally.
Yeah, yep, I agree. So, okay, this is quick, maybe, but very interesting question from Viper. So what map are you going to clear last?
So for the longest time, I actually literally had no idea. Actually never planned to have a final map because I didn't. To me, I don't really care what that map is. I just want the goal of completing Osu. But I feel like at this point it would be kind of a shame if I didn't have something to look forward to at the end. So I decided on a map, but unfortunately, it's going to have to stay secret.
Oh, okay.
It is a secret final map,
That's
and
good.
it is subject to change. I actually have more than one idea. So
Oh, all right. So we will stay posted. And speaking of staying posted, is there any place that we can stay posted on endeavors like this and other thoughts from Momo the Melon?
well, if you want to find me anywhere, I am on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, all at Momo the Melon. Should be simple to find me on those platforms, and nowhere else. I don't use social media anywhere else. So if you see me on Instagram or TikTok, that is not me. I have no affiliation there.
Dude, TikTok score farming.
No.
That would be incredible.
Dude, TikTok kind of scares me, honestly. I think it's like the first social media platform I've looked at and just been kind of baffled by. I feel like I'm getting a little bit old.
All right. Okay, this is a good question, I think, from Kelly Nemo, who asks, what are your thoughts on laser and score v2 basically killing score farming, and will this affect your motivation?
Well, for right now, I treat laser with a very specific stance. You cannot submit scores for rank score on it, so I pretend I do not see it. I do not think about laser in any way currently. However, that's not a very good long term way to think about it. Uh, Honestly, I don't know because I don't know what the final scoring is going to be like in laser. I don't think even Peppy knows yet. So I'm just gonna have to keep looking out to see like what it's going to be exactly. But depending on what the answer is, I feel like it might change my perspective and either like make me jaded or make me just change my way of how I think about score.
No, that sounds so sad.
It is, but I do have hope. There is like a group of score farmers that actually know how to do like actual coding. So
Oh,
they might actually be our savior and might try to find a way to like keep classic score in some way, even if it means just like on a Discord bot or something.
oh, I see. That is good. I did not know about that, but yes, hopefully score will live on.
Oh, it'll always live in some form or another. I mean, it will never die.
All right. So, the next question from Lost, who asks, would you say discipline is responsible for your ability to keep farming score more so than actual motivation?
I think having discipline is like a very good way to actually keep working towards a goal. Motivation obviously very important too. I think it's like almost half and half, maybe a little bit more discipline than motivation, but definitely they're both big, very big factors. If I'm not motivated, it's very hard to stay disciplined. And if I'm not disciplined, it's, what good is the motivation if I'm not a little bit disciplined?
Right. Most motivation is very fleeting.
Oh yeah, for sure. Motivation comes and goes in waves. So, it's hard to like keep your momentum just off of motivation alone.
Oh, okay. This is actually a good question from Will Cookie. What is the best cheese?
Uh, personally, I'm not very picky with cheese. I just literally love eating cheese. Even though, fun fact, I am lactose intolerant, but you know what? I don't care.
Oh.
Some pain is just worth it. And cheese is that thing.
Oh no.
I will eat a pizza and then, go, deal with the consequences later in the restroom and be like, you know what, this is worth it.
just it, all cheese is good cheese. It seems
All
like.
we love cheese. Exactly.
All right, I like that answer. Okay, this next question from Mr. Falco. What score-related thing happened on April 16th, 2021?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. I do not recall this incident. I have no association with this incident, and personally, I think we should drop the subject matter immediately.
Oh,
Trust me, this is not important. Happy, trust me.
all right, all right. Oh, okay. This is actually a good question from Karuna, who asked, "What is your favorite map?" And then also, is there any map that you play more than once just for fun?
Um, I hate the question of favorite map because it is so hard to pick one out of 84,000. However, I would say like definitely up there in terms of like favorite maps is the first star. Do you know that map?
Yes, the Ichigan map.
Yes, Ichigan map set. I love Shia's diff on that. The top diff.
Yep.
So good. So good. Basically anything Cookiezi played in 2013 is a good map.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Stuff like Fake Me, Flower Flag, all that good stuff. Any DT Area 9 map he played.
Yep. Those Zun songs that he played.
Yes.
What is that song called? Like year round something curiosity. I don't remember what it's called. You know what I'm talking about?
I think this
Okay,
has escaped my memory.
can someone remind me what that song is called? Okay, well, anyway, let's see. Next question. Oh dear. For pizza, do you prefer thin or thick crust? Only one correct answer.
Oh, definitely thick crust. If you don't like crust, you're just doing yourself a disservice. The crust is a very essential part of a pizza. If you're just not eating crust, then what are you eating? You're just eating cheese. Like I love cheese, but you need the bread too, man. And you
That's
need a lot of it too. Like thin crust is kind of just like, a slap in the face.
all right. Let's see. Okay, interesting question from possibly racist Microbic, who asks, "What is your favorite way to enjoy the game?"
Oh. Oh, would you like to hear about my favorite way to enjoy Osu?
Yes, I would.
Have you ever heard of score farming?
Oh, I have not. Actually, what is that?
Oh, score farming is very simple. You just download Osu maps and then you just start playing them. You just play to the best of your ability and submit scores on lots of different maps. And you see the ranked score number go up, and you climb.
Oh my
And you
god.
just gain infinite score. It's true.
Oh my god. All right, let's see. So, question from Error. Do you think constantly changing the way that you approach clearing maps has helped boost your motivation?
Oh yeah, I have been known to like set up a structure for myself, be like, okay, I am going to follow this all the way until completion, and then give it up literally after 3 days, and then change my plan entirely. I have learned to just accept that every day is going to be a different way to play, because it is a healthy way to just it's healthy to have different mindsets going into different days. If you have a rigid structure that you just can't follow on specific days, you're going to like just fall apart and then you're going to give up.
Right, variety is the spice of life. So,
Exactly. And what variety is there but 84,000 beat maps for your choosing?
so true. So, yeah, do you feel like actually changing up the way that you play the game, as far as like your structure for farming, does that, help with motivation at all?
Yeah, so it's like when I try something different and I see success in it, it makes my brain go like, "Ooh, that was a good thing I just did there." And that just carries on into my next sessions where either I do the same thing or I build upon it. And kind of how I learned to do the structure I do today of like finding what maps I can do on a certain day depending on how I feel. And then on top of that, sectioning those maps off into smaller chunks that makes me feel like I'm actually making progress.
Oh, okay. There was another question. So, Ibrahim Gaming asks, if you could marry an Osu top player, who would you marry?
Look, marrying people is kind of score inefficient. You know, having another mouth to feed is just it's just gonna slow you down more than anything. So I think the answer is nobody.
Oh,
You don't need to marry anyone. You just need score.
that's wise.
Sure.
That's a wise answer. All right, let's see. So, okay.
Although I will say, personally, like, hey, Woey, it's been a while since we called. Hey, man,
That is true. I feel the same way sometimes.
we love
Uh,
Woey here.
s- let's see. Oh, what's the most score efficient way to live life?
Uh, I don't even know how to answer that question besides, literally spend all of your waking time gaining rank score, clearly.
Oh, speaking of, okay, so have there ever been times where you are just like super like extremely motivated and then like do you like do you try to capitalize on that motivation and just get as much done as possible, or do you try to like be kind of careful about it so you don't get burned out too quickly?
No, I think playing into that motivation is actually very helpful because it's hard to ever find like big spouts of motivation. I think it's a good thing to capitalize on, and those bouts of like being super motivated is usually also when I end up playing the best too. It usually correlates for me, so that's when I also like focus on like higher star maps and trying to FC like 6 stars, sometimes 7 stars as well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Um, all right, let's see. Another question from Karuna, who asks, what else do you do in your free time when you're not playing Osu? Any Osu related stuffs or just other stuff in general?
Okay, well, I mean, the big thing is that I work full time, so that's one thing that takes up a lot of my time. I'd rather not be doing that, but I need to do it for money to survive and live in my house. So that's a lot of time wasted that I need to spend. But in terms of like fun, Minecraft is still the game I play the most outside of Osu. So if you want to ever find me outside of Osu, that's probably where you're gonna find me because Minecraft is a game I've actually played more than Osu. By the way, I have 5-digit hours in Minecraft,
Oh my
easily ten
gosh.
thousand. Oh yeah, I played Minecraft religiously from 2010 to 2016. Literally every day, I would play like anywhere from 6 to like 10 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. And now I'm doing the same thing with Osu, but to a limited capacity because Osu is harder to play that much, but also because I'm working instead of being, a little child.
Yeah, that is true. um, all right. So next question from Mr. Falco, who asks, what impact does the quality of map have on your session? Like, if it's a bad map, are you less motivated?
Um I would say yeah. If a map is like really not fun to play, then I'm going to, I'm probably not going to play as well because if a map is bad, it's probably because it's not very playable. I don't really care about how a map looks exactly. I just care about playability. I don't care about like mapping stuff like, oh, is this aesthetic or whatever, or does this follow the rhythm to a certain way. I just care about if it plays well or not and if it's like comfortable or like at least just follows some sense of good gameplay. So if it doesn't, it's not fun except if the map is ranked like 2011 or older, then it's good.
Then no rules apply.
Oh yeah, it's completely like biased and random.
Let's go. Yeah, I feel like map quality is sort of second to song enjoyability in my experience. Like if the map can be pretty bad as long as the songs like can make up for it.
That's fair. Although at this point, like for me, like one thing I want to add is that my music taste, because of Osu completion, is like I've gotten to the point where I can just listen to anything and just like be okay with it. Maybe not enjoy it, but just like okay, whatever. I can just tolerate it.
So when you're score farming, do you sometimes also s- like turn off the audio of the game and like just listen to other stuff on the side?
When I am not streaming, I do that. I listen to like long videos or sometimes podcasts, like random ones.
I see.
But most of the time, I'm streaming when I do my score farming sessions. So I don't really tend to do that.
Like you could do some podcast group listening with your stream as a thought.
For me, I always felt weird about that idea because like if someone just joined randomly like halfway in, it'd be kind of like weird.
Oh, that's true.
That's the main reason why I don't do it.
Okay.
So maybe I should just consider getting like wireless earbuds, put them under my headphone, and just listen to a podcast while I'm playing. I've thought about that.
um, let's see. Do you prefer no debuff or build UHC? I don't know what that means.
No, honestly, I'm not really much of a UHC player. I always played HG or just kit PvP.
What is your Hypixel Bed Wars level?
I actually have no idea. I should probably check that. One moment.
Okay. In the meantime, those of you listening should check out Osu University, the Discord server, if you want to get involved in these interviews, because that is where we're taking questions and that is where you can stay up to date with everything. And if you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, if you want to support the content other than joining the Discord server, best thing you can do is really just to share the interviews and Osu University in general with whoever you think might appreciate it, because that helps a lot more than you might think.
Okay. My Bed Wars level is 28, Mr. Will Cookie.
Let's go. All right. Oh, do you have a favorite mapper or any favorite mappers?
Um, it's hard to pick again one favorite mapper, but like, let me just see if I can list off a bunch of mappers that are really good. Let's see. Oh my god, this it's so hard to do it on the spot. But like, okay, Grummed, Jonathan LFJ, RLC, Quick, yeah, Natake. I think that's how you say it. Controversial DJ Pop. I don't care what you guys say. I think his maps being kind of gross is very fun. um Let's see. Toiba is a good one. Uh, another controversial one. Lewis Cipher. I think his maps are funny, even if sometimes they're not the best. Uh, Man, it's so hard to think. I like Angel Honey maps, even if they can be very wonky. The King Henry is like the mapping prodigy that we all wish to be. He makes the most unfathomable maps that are just awesome, even if they're literally unplayable.
Let's go.
Uh, I don't know if I can. There's so many good mappers that I'm going to completely forget, but you know, that's just a good taste of like what kind of mappers I like. Generally, tending towards like the older side of Osu.
Right. Yes, I think that those are pretty, I think, well regarded mappers as well. So good taste for sure. All right. I do want to ask also, because I suspect anyone who made it this far in the interview may have been motivated to start score farming themselves. Do you have any maybe pointers or bits of advice or wisdom that you would like to share to anyone who is interested or now motivated to start score farming for themselves?
Mr. Falco is saying stop now. That is not what you should do. You should actually do the opposite. You should just start now. I think important thing is first of all, you want to download all like as many of the maps as you possibly can, preferably all of them. There's actually like if you literally just Google like Osu all maps 2007 or something like that, there's a forum link that'll give you like links that you can access to download all of the Osu maps. And I think Zasuma on his profile also has like yeah, Mr. Falco linked it right there. That's what I use personally to download all the ranked maps. But otherwise, yeah, you want to download as many maps as you can. How much disk space? Mine takes like 230 gigabytes, but that's with videos and everything. So if you delete videos, you're gonna save a lot of space. I keep it all because I like having the history of all the maps, including the videos. But yeah, you want like 250 gigabytes of space minimum if you want to download everything, just so you don't crash your computer. And yeah, just play everything. That's pretty much it. There's no other way to score farm besides just play. That's all you literally have to do. F2 is a great way to do it too. Just literally just randomize, play whatever, play everything.
All right. So, what would you say to people who are in similar boats as you and like want to score farm? They were super motivated and now they're like losing motivation, and I don't know. They need some words of wisdom from the almighty E.
Well, one thing I will say is that you should never do something if you don't want to do it. So, if you really, really don't want to do it anymore, then you probably shouldn't. However, I will say, score farming is like a very leisurely activity. You don't need to like play all the long maps or high score maps if you don't want to. You can literally just play whatever you want, however you want. You can gain score just by doing that. It's not a very strenuous activity if you don't need it to be or want it to be.
Right, I agree, and also like in the whole journey of playing all the maps, there's going to be so many that are really low star rating anyway. So on the time, or yeah, those times where you just want it to be very leisure, you don't like. There's a lot of progress you can make while still also being very casual about the difficulty of maps, right?
Oh yeah, like low star maps are the great way to just autopilot, listen to random pieces of music, or if you want, a podcast or whatever in the background, just relax, make good progress because there's a lot of low stars. Hold on, let me check how many. Okay, hold on. I have a question for you. What is
Okay,
a low star map, like
it,
star rating wise?
that's ranked.
Yes.
Is it?
What's like the highest of the low stars essentially? What's the cutoff
Oh,
in
is
your opinion?
like the exact star rating or the map?
Star rating.
Oh shoot! Isn't
That
it
that that's what I use because it's like a more objective way in some sense.
right? Isn't it like 0.4 ish?
No. I'm asking you. What do you consider a low star map? Like,
Oh,
yeah, essentially, like where does the cutoff end? I suppose like
oh.
4 star, 5 star, 3 star.
I think anything over like 2.9 is like not low star anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to quickly check how many maps that is.
Yeah. So yeah, anything under 3 stars, basically.
Okay, let's do less than 3 star. Hold
Right.
on. Okay, so less than 3 star is like 35.4K maps.
Okay. Yeah. That's a lot of maps.
It
And
is.
how many are there ranked? There's like 85K.
I think so. 84 or 85K. Hold on.
That's a lot of score.
We reached 85K like a few days ago. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Nice.
New milestone.
Let's
Gotta love
go.
infinite maps.
um. So actually, aside from Zasuma and I guess Sleep Tainer, are there any big inspirations for you for like score farming in general?
Well, currently that would be number 2 score player Maklevitz. He's the person who has like alongside me stayed like score farming at a consistent pace, like with me, and now me and him being number one and two, it's like he's always constantly like climbing to me, and the score gap between us is actually the closest it's ever been. Uh, and that alone motivates me to be like, oh hey, you know what? I should actually just keep playing because number one score wasn't my initial goal when I started score farming actually, but now that I have it, it's like it would be kind of cool to keep it for a while.
Right. Since you're here still.
Yeah, it's like let's see how long I can keep this up for.
So,
I will say I think Maklovitz is unironically like Zazuma too, in a sense. He plays all the same mod combinations, has the same skill sets even.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then I don't even know what I am. I am MomoHD. I am 15 E's, whatever that means.
So, do you feel like there's like a valid, competition to be had at like the top ranks of score farming?
If someone is motivated enough to want to play an absurd amount of maps, I can tell you who would literally be the best, or contender for having the most score potential within the top 50 score. It's easily the player underscore shield. He
Oh,
is
yeah.
the literal like best player in the score farming scene because he is top 50 score and he does play a lot of like score heavy maps.
Yeah, but
So in a
he's
sense,
really high
he is,
rank.
yeah, he's just kind of stupidly good. I mean,
Yeah.
someone who could play new maps very well, old maps surprisingly well, has a high skill cap. He can FC stuff with no mod, hard rock, and DT at a competent, very high competent level. He's kind of scary.
Yeah, this guy's actually insane.
If he really wanted to, he could overthrow me and Maklovitz with no issue if he just spent the time for it.
Right.
But part of having the most score is like a big part of it is that motivation to play that many maps,
Yep.
even if you're not the highest skill level.
Yep. I would agree. So, yes, with that, do you have any closing thoughts, I think? Any last shout outs for score and motivation?
If anyone wants to start score farming, just know I am overwatching you. I am watching your every move, and I am ready to see you rise the score rankings.
I just
You know,
clicked back into Discord and saw your avatar while you were saying that. You're just watching over all of us.
yes. Also, just shout out to Thorwave for no particular reason. Just shout out to Thorwave.
Oh, let's go.
Otherwise, score farming I think is a very fun thing, and I think everyone should try at least just a little bit of it. You don't need to stick to it, but it's just a fun way to try playing Usu for even just fun for like one session. It's
Right.
just a different way to look and play, Osu. It's
Yeah,
worth trying.
I agree. I would say s- part of the enjoyment of Osu is just like the many different ways that you can play it. And I think to anyone who has never really tried just sort of going for lots of score, then it's definitely a valid way to play the game.
Oh
But
yeah, and score farming is unique in a way that because of the sheer variety of maps you're going to play, on top of just score farming, you're also going to be testing all of your skills, which is also another way to play Osu, becoming more
right,
well-rounded and such.
agreed. All right. Well, with that, with all of our shout outs sort of already out of the way from earlier, I want to thank you all for listening, either live or through one of the recordings. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Definitely join the Discord server for OC University if you haven't already. Thanks again, Momo, for joining me today. And we will see you guys next time.